believe, before I came in Britain, when I was living in Malaysia, I'm from Malaysia, and we believe that by the time Imam Mahdi comes to this world, and Islam will be the strongest religions in the world, isn't it? And what's so confused now is, if we say that this religion is the strongest religion in this world, and why at the past 3 years, when Bosnia was suffered from attack from Christian community, why there is no Islamic country comes to in front of what's, let's say, PBB and solve this problem? Why we have America and...
Okay. You have asked two questions in one, right?
Yeah.
The second question I advise you to address to Saudi Arabia, to Kuwait, to Jordan, to Syria, and to such countries you are blaming for their absolute lack of interest in the Muslim affairs, right?
Yeah.
I'm not answerable for what they do, but I'm answerable only from the point on behalf of Jamaat Ahmadiyya, with the belief that Imam Mahdi has come, right?
Yeah, sir.
Now, as far as your hearsay reports about Imam Mahdi suddenly transforming the world of Islam into the most powerful people on earth, I disagree with that view as false on the count of contrary historical evidence. No man who was ever raised by God as prophet or a messenger or a reformer brought about such a miracle in the world. Not even Hadhrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. 1400 years have passed and still you yourself are quoting the example of the Bosnians being Muslims completely helpless at the mercy and laid at the mercy of their non-Muslim enemies. And there again, it is not the Christians who have perpetrated any crime against them. That's also wrong. Those who have perpetrated most horrid crimes against the Bosnian Muslims are religious people. There is no religion to them. They are practically atheists and morally destitute. So why to blame Christianity unnecessarily for the crime committed by non-Christians? Understand? Now coming back to the question of the Imam Mahdi, I remind you to the basic fundamental principle that God has enunciated in the Holy Quran repeatedly, which is lan tajida li sunnatillahi tabdila wa lan tajida li sunnatillahi tahwila. The ways in relation to mankind, in relation to religions, have become parts of human history and religious history. And you will never see any change in the conduct of God in relation to the attitudes of peoples on earth. And repeatedly it challenges man to find one single example where God changed his ways and his attitude to the problems. Whenever he raised a prophet, he raised that prophet from the weakest of the people. No, not the weakest of the people, among the strongest, of course, of the society, but individually so weak that he was never supported by any powerful group. Every prophet came independently as a single person. Yet he gained following through a very strong, persistent struggle and endeavor which he continuously made, regardless of the pressure of the enemies against him. The miracle, which is the Sunnah of God in this case, which was common to all prophets, was that despite the fact they were neither supported by a powerful social group, economic group, religious group, political group, they were, even if they were popular, they were left alone after they claimed to be from God, yet they emerged victorious, invariably. But through a slow process of change, which began with moral change. And that change itself was not brought about through a peril caused by a prophet. That change was brought about through human sacrifices. Each person who answered to the call of a prophet accepted a miserable life for the sake of the truth. He was put into the middle of torture and persecution. And the society which honored him before treated him as a menial. And as such, there is no inconsistency in the ways of God if you apply those, if you learn those ways through human history. From the time of Adam up to Hadhrat sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, this is the story of the prophets repeated over and over again, exactly like this. If the people did not reform finally and rejected him altogether, then the people were wiped out, not the prophet. What happened to the people of Noah? What happened to the people of Lot? So the religious history as preserved in the Holy Quran is most reliable and unchangeable. How can you fit the concept of Imam Mahdi in that history? Where can you fit it? If you believe that suddenly somebody is divinely appointed and with his supernatural power he destroys the rest of the world and makes those who share his views in religion conqueror of the whole world. Why so? If they are themselves corrupt people, if they are at least as corrupt as other people are, what justice there would be in God bringing about a revolution in favor of such a people like you find in many Muslim states. If you really study the current history of the Muslim states, you will find that most of the people living there have become dishonest, corrupt, and indulging in all the malpractices in which the rest of the world is indulging. Name a crime which you find elsewhere in the world and which is not found in the Muslim states. So why one fine morning should Imam Mahdi appear and say, all right, do whatever you please? Religion does not appear for the purpose of revolutionizing the morals and conduct. Religion only comes to establish the supremacy of one people, and that is all. So I have come and you will emerge as victorious. I'll hand over the keys of the world to you and disappear back to nothingness. Can you agree with this scheme of things? It's impossible. Right? Thank you.
The next questioner is Mr. Abdullah Camps.
Mr. Abdullah Camps. Camps. That's right.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, Abdullah. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Alhamdulillah.
Very well. My question is on the question of vision. Since becoming a brother, I have received through quite a lot of visions. I would like to hear your guidance on how one should take these visions.
You see, visions can be born out of illusions as well, and working of the human psyche by itself. So it's a very fine area which should be observed unbiased with great caution. Visions which come from God